So we are discussing, in general, Gen Zs, why we have this generation who have been labeled to be problematic. So one of the things he was putting forward was teachers. He blames the teachers. And I was telling him, that's unfair. You can't blame teachers because this starts at home with the parents. Yes, teachers have a role to play, but wazazi are the foundation. So there's only so much the teacher can do. But Masha is stuck that apana, ni shule, school systems are weak, they are not what they were. And I'm like, even if school systems are weak, parents still have a role to play. Unaelewa? That you cannot now leave this, because teachers are buckling under the pressure of, kuna mzazi ambaye hataki mtoto wake akosolewe. In fact, teachers right now fear students because students can get teachers into trouble. And the richer the school, the richer the parents, the worse it is for teachers. So he was like, let's call a teacher and get a teacher's perspective to hear what they think.
Who just want to feel high, do nothing and have it all. Where do we think we have gone wrong? What is the issue? What is the problem? So that's how the issue was. Now, how's our opinion? So you can give us yours since you're there before the Gen Zs and now currently with the Gen Zs.
As a teacher?
Yeah, from the teacher's perspective. I support Tamina because no, from my perspective,
Are you seeing why teachers can't work? This is what you do to teachers. Even just, this is what happens to teachers. Look.
Do you know what I'm saying?
So it's not about the other side wase wanapata results immediately na sisi hatupate results immediately. This is a thing yenye tunaweza sema hata with your information bado niwe personally ndo una go towards to look for that information.
Unapata jirani, I remember kuna time nilipigwa na jirani. Nilipigwa na ngori ya brother yangu anafanana na mimi. Yeye alifanya messages zake huko. Jirani alikuwa ananipiga akifikiri napiga brother yangu. Before I realize na mimi juu siwezi ongea kwa sababu hiyo inakaa wewe ni kichwa ngumu kujitetea. So kwa zile za umemeza.
But also to answer your question in terms of, are they naturally like that? Or are they trained up to be like that with parents? Well, I'll agree with your point that parents are mostly the foundation, because that Bible inasema train up your children in the ways of the way, when they grow up they will not depart from it. But also, I think we're giving birth to advanced children and we don't know and we're not aware of it, and it has shocked us.
Spare the child, spare the rod. So the rod was spared and the child got spoiled. From where? From where? School. School. No, school and home. Si school and home. Bro, wewe mwenyewe unasema shule bana kwako hata afadhali kuja nyumbani, shule kwa kubaya. So it is home where we will get consoled. Like, tulia, kesho tena hata kuchapa. But huko shule kwa kubaya. That is why that's why you are here. Uko hapa usikie mwalimu anapita. Hebu shika.
But if not used well, they have also contributed to yes.
On the same point, there was a report that I got from my intelligence ya kwamba young boys wants to be rich in a very short time period, just like the way they want to be high without incurring costs. Kenda bao na kunywa bia zako. So you have gone there to buy time, get drunk, associate and go home sleep. They want to go to bar, take a half glass na azime. Unaona? Short form of getting drunk without spending money. That is how they want to earn money without working hard. So the rise of criminality is very high because these people are not given quality information about their entire life in school. Because that is where because I'm not going to go against me. That is where they spend 90% of their time. Mimi mtoto wangu kuja nyumbani anakuja shuleni 5. I come from work at 8. So we catch up, mami A B C D F G, and I go to sleep, she will sleep, I wake up in the morning, do some other things. So what do I have to tell her? Maybe on Sunday, mami go to church. On Sunday, let's go swimming. That's all. But what time do I have to teach her? What time do I have to spend with her? Comparing my time, I didn't have both parents present. And the one who was present was there present looking for how we can survive with our lives. Tutakula nini? So I was depending on the teacher, and it was the teacher's role from school to the community. anakufuatilia to the community. You will even end up on home visits. Ngekuja, Masha kwa wapi leo? Ameenda kuchunga mbuzi. Kuna homework hakumaliza jana shuleni. Kuna shida gani wazazi? That was passion. Teachers were doing their duty as passion. But right now, pure job. Just last week, Hamilton was complaining to her teacher about her 2 nephews. They don't go to school on Fridays. Kwa nyumbani Hamilton, wanafunzi wako nini? Tumefukuzwa. What's happening? Nataka na levies fee. Hamilton paid the school the whole year. Kupiga simu shule akamwona mwalimu. Hao watoto kila Friday hawaji shule. Mpaka Monday, so hao ni Gen Zs. And what is the teacher doing about it? Hajamwambia Hamilton. Hajamwambia. Lakini kila Friday hawaendi shule. They're just there and they're girls. So what is likely to happen? Who is not doing what? Na mwalimu kama tunaka barabara kabisa. Mbona hapo kila siku Friday napita hapo nyumbani ndio nyumbani. You not ask the teachers, parents, kama mbona hakujishulea na watoto kila siku. Hawaulizi. Na hawaendi kila Friday. Wanapiga sherehe zao. Kama kuna ruhusa ataenda, kama kuna matanga ataenda. Hawaendi shule. Ni makosa ya nani hayo? Almas.
Hayo ni makosa ya mzazi.
Kwa nini?
Ya kutokufuatilia wajibu wa mtoto katika malezi yanomlea. Ya kutokwenda shule kwa wakati, kutokuhudhuria masomo. Mwalimu anakuwa yuko busy na wanafunzi wengine.
Kwa nini? Na hao wengine mbona amewaacha? Wewe ukienda kuchunga mbuzi, moja kigonjeka, utaiwacha ufuate zile zingine?
Hapana.
Sasa mbona hao wengine mwalimu hawafuatilia kujua wako wapi kila Friday?
Sasa hapo
shida iko wapi hapo?
Shule nayo iko shida.
Mbona shule iko na shida? Wanafunzi hawaendi na masomo yanaendelea na hawafuatilii.
I think what you're saying is very right, and what you're saying is right to an extent. You keep mentioning 2 things, school and teacher. You have but basically level of commitment we saw in previous generations with teachers haiko pale sasa hivi. And that's why I'm saying that issue is still a parent issue, because there is a side of wazazi ambao wanasema walimu hawezi chapa mtoto wangu. You can't tell my child that. So teachers feel like we are under attack. And then also remember, there was an age, also, and teachers are humans like us. There was an age where kwa mwalimu, it had pride. Our teachers are always on the streets complaining about late salaries. So at what point, even for them as people, it's like, okay, once upon a time, there was an agreement between us and society. Society valued what we do. Melewa, we were well compensated. Kukuwa na ile heshima wa mtu ni mwalimu. Wazazi walikuwa na ile heshima. Yes, mwalimu wewe nikikupatia mchape kama ni wako. Like when I'm not there, you're the second parent. There was that agreement between wazazi na. That's why your parent could drop you in school in January and see you in December. Because yeye anajua amepatia Mr. Olo, Mrs. Masharia full authority. Nowadays, Mrs. Masharia cannot even look at her child because atajipata kwa principal's office. Lawsuit, shule is being sued because that's, and again, actually it's parents. There's a disease in our society because when you talk about teacher and school, teacher first level for me is parent. School is important, but parents set the tone for the school. Ni wazazi ambao wataambia shuleni, tumeketi hapa tumenotice these children are very naughty. So what are we doing about it in a school setting? School atakwambia, we want to implement, but kumbuka hapa, you're so many. Kuna wale, they are very modern, they feel like mtoto wangu asichapwe, mtoto wangu asishautiwe. So even I've had discussions with people who are in education, and they tell you it's terrible. Kwanza these private schools are squeezy. Maybe government schools, yeah, but the richer the parents, the worse it is for the teachers. So we can't also sit here and say it's teachers. And that's what I'm saying. It's us as parents to come and agree what is the culture in our society. Even the point he was making, kitambo ilikuwa, you cannot just go out in public and misbehave, because irrespective of whether the adults around you are your relatives or not, they had the authority to walk to you and tell you, munafanya nini? Squeezy jaribu. Those kids will beat you. Because it's like as society, yeah, we have eroded that level of collective responsibility. Because what you guys are bringing out is the level of collective responsibility we all had. That mimi kama mzazi, I can't be everywhere, but I live in a society where there's collective responsibility. I don't want to believe Echo will see my child doing something there na anyamazie. Lazima atachukulia aje aniambie, because tuko na ile collective responsibility. So sai, that is what is lacking.
Yeah. Agree with me. In a society, there are 3 things we depend on for a better society. That is security, medical, and economic. Sindio? Who is the bottom line of this? Let's begin as low as that. Security, education and economy. Sawa. So if there's a breakdown in one of them, we are done. How much talk about this? For you to be Tamima, for you to wake up tomorrow in the morning, you have to eat supper. Sindio? In the morning, take breakfast. In the evening, for you not to die. But if you skip one of the meals here, you'll begin shrinking and say, it's not Tamima. Something is wrong. Why do you want to be consistent to being Tamima? Every system, when weakened, it brings a lot of breakdown. The education system was weakened.
By who?
By the responsibility authorities.
Who are the authorities?
No,
Break it down.
no. By the responsibility authorities. Let me tell you, at first, it was as hard you becoming a teacher. Sindio? The education system, as hard as that. It was only passion that will take you to being a teacher. Passion. That's why the old teachers are successful up to now. They have their residential homes, retirement benefits, and everything. Compared to the teachers right now, they are complaining of insufficient salary because they are into things that they want to be like doctors.
But
they want to ngoja kidogo. You can't be a teacher and you want to be like a policeman. You can't be a teacher and want to be like a businessman. There is what level you are going to live with. Honor. We live differently. Let's admit that. If you live life that is not based in your situation, you're hallucinating.
You're hallucinating?
And you,
Okay.
and yeah, because at that time you want to be yourself. You want to be yourself. So one problem is that created all this breakdown. Leave alone the parents, because you believe when you give birth to a child, that is the community child. You believe so. No. How many times have you ever had cases that somebody's child is behaving and the whole village will gang up that home? Hebu amka asubuhi mtoto wako aanze kurepa watoto wa mtaani, uone kama watu watakuja kwako. They will all come to your home. No. So we believe that was a community problem, having a child. And the most possibility, anasoma shule gani ule? So they will come to the school. After you, they will come to the school. Then school, they will come to the whole community to start now. It is that school is not performing well. Like right now we say, the performing school is like, maybe get a second performing well. But end product, the kids, where are they? In the streets. But teachers make sure they provide the best. So if there is that communication breakdown of teaching has already been disconnected from previously, so don't expect any child, because they will spend the whole day in school. They come home, most of them are orphans, and they will learn from what they have got from school. No. Because right now, the economy is very, very hard, tough. So we parents come home very late, expecting the child has got enough education from school, expecting the child has learned manners from school. For you do 10%, but the rest is supposed to be done at. You can't tell me that the time you spend with your child is enough for you to teach your child that manners. Never. That child believes in the teacher. That's the first belief. Then, mommy, teacher says tomorrow. Teacher says when we see rain, we run away. Then you say, no, mommy. When the rain comes, you find an umbrella. But they tell you what the teacher said, because it is the teacher who spends most time with the child.
And you're right.
So if the teacher is not doing anything, you're likely to get a very good tag.
And you're right, but you see,
No. Simple. Education was like this before. Very smooth. You would live here and reach there in 1 minute. Then something came up over here, which was improper. So when you reach here, you have to divert or find means of going up. Now this is the school. If the school is not easily accessed, it's not providing here, you either turn back or you jump off or you divert. This is where people are diverting. These boys was yesterday here. I happened to have one boy. Ngaza aliongea akachoka. Shuleni pia ikasema kwamba shauri yake. So when they say what they mean, like huyu shauri yake. When I reached from 3, I didn't have school fees, but the headmaster said let that boy come and learn. I want to learn. I went to school. He came even at home. Akasema, this boy is doing good. Let him come to school. Responsibility of this of the education. As you know, education is everything in the community. But that education from those kids, the breakdown that happened there is what we have right now. Because we have 12 to 14 years kids disturbing the streets. Not 16 years, 12 to 13 years. Hapo tu katikati. Walimu waliachilia wakasema shauri yao. Huku parents are trying, but how can I have my child here? At the same time, I'm supposed to drive my truck from here to Kampala to take some consignment. We don't want me to get some money. Where? I'm paying all what they can, but the school also has voted, tumachana mtoto acha aende.
I have something to say. You see, in this conversation, we're making it look like it's a one-way traffic. It's like the parent is the one on the wrong. You get, but this is a two-way traffic. Ukitoka kwa nyumba asubuhi as a parent, mtoi akwambie niletee sweetie leo jioni. If you come back home jioni bila hiyo sweetie, how will that affect the child and how will that affect you? Because umetoka umeenda kuhustle, ukose hiyo do urudi. This child kwanza anaweza kukachia. You understand? And you as a parent, because ujakuwa able kuprovide umtoi hii sweetie. Hizi snacks anafaa kwenda nazo shule kesho. Akifika shule bila snacks, watu wa shule wamwangalie different. You understand? So this is a two-way traffic. Kuna emotions za physical, emotional, psychological effects za mtoi, and even you as a parent. You get? So how do we not only point the finger at the parent, but also look at the effects that umtoi asipopata hii sweetie jioni, pia mimi as a parent, how will I feel? How will that make me feel? So kesho yake ndo uweze kuprovide umtoi sweetie, it means you have to maybe work double hours, the way Masha is saying. You get? Ndio umtoi apate. Na utapata saa zingine hata unamletea na hata appreciate. How does that make you feel as a parent? So how do we not overlook also emotion, psychological, spiritual aspect ya parent, because I'm a work hard. I'm just asking. Sorry?
Number one, as a parent, if you can't afford a sweet, stop promising your child a sweet. And that is where the problem starts. Because you're the adult, not the child. And there's something even yesterday when the pastor spoke. He was like, in our African society, we have become pathological liars. We teach it to our children, even from the time they are knee high. Mama, I'll buy you a sweet. You know very well you can't afford that sweet. You know very well that sweet is not coming. You know very well, but you reinforce that with a child. And that's what I was saying. We can grow up in the same household, but have different parenting experiences. So number one, the parent must be the parent. It is okay to tell your child no. It is okay to tell your child hatuna. Acha kumficha, because eventually life will reveal it to them. And when life reveals it to them, that blow might not be as gentle. It might actually end up being a very hard blow. Unelewa? And then you see also, to the point Masha is making about school, he's very right about the role of school. You see, we grew up in our society. If you look at African societies, we are very communal people. We are very relational people. But because of modernity, we've now started to adapt the white man's way. But it's coming at a cost. We had structures that worked, and they worked for a reason. Melewa? But as we are becoming more westernized, we've weakened our structures. And because now those structures have been weakened, it's left a gap. And when it's left a gap, everybody's pointing a finger at each other. Teachers are pointing a finger at parents, parents are pointing a finger at teachers. But you see, fundamentally, at the end of the day, you cannot negate the responsibility of the parent, because the parent is the one who ultimately, when unaweka pressure in the school, because you decide which school your child goes to. Out of all the million schools that are available, when unaamua where my child will go to school. Now, ukifika pale, there are things like even PTA, class reps, engagement. You can, parents have changed schools. Parents have banded together to say, ule headmaster lazima aende. So, that's what I'm saying. Parents are so integral to these things. Schools play a role, yes, but parents are the watchdog. You're the ones who must now sit. Yes.
Must go. Because he's incompetent. Do you know why? They are the GMO that had cooked degrees. That's why we say he must go. If this one is the cause of all cases, rape cases, misbehavior in school, what is he doing?
But even that.
No, ngoja.
How
Not
did
even
Jemo
not
end up
even
there?
that. Not even that.
How did Jemo end up there? Because
Ngoja.
mzazi wake alimpenda Jemo sana, akataka Jemo afanye teaching. So he rigged Jemo into the teaching.
system, yeah.
So again, it goes back to a parent. There was a parent somewhere who abused.
Aya, tulia. Not even parents.
Yeah.
He himself was taken to school. He never studied and was using money or his cheating ways to give. We had a case of a lawyer who was incompetent. Nakumbuka. The father is that the lawyer graduated. Kumbe, unakumbuka ile kesi ya lawyer? We had a case in Kenya that there's a lawyer. The father said, I know. I even have attended photos that attended his graduation. But the guy did not even graduate. Was faking. And how did he learn that? From the fellow students. From where? School. Where does the child gets a company from? School.
30 years ago, yeah, they've not fallen prey to the whims of we are modern. Unaelewa? Wao inakwaga, it's either you take it ama endo tafute shule ingine huko nje. Na wachezagi na wazazi, by the way. But the reality is there are other school systems that they're buckling under the pressure of what is this modernity. We understand, yes, your children are people, they matter, and that works. Because in the same breath, someone will come and sit and tell you, are you aware that some of the world's best education systems exist from Sweden and whatnot? Wala watoto kule hawachapwi. So mbona tuchape wetu? It's a valid argument. But you see, you must contextualize what are the structures in Sweden. And that's what I'm saying here.
Who
is that
came up with the law of no caning kids in school?
I don't believe you have to cane children for them to listen. Yeah, I don't know who, but I agree with them. I agree with them because I agree with them. Children were dying at the hands of teachers. That is why it was removed.
Ilikuwa passion.
You're blaming parents. I'm saying parents at the foundation of everything. Because I want you to understand, the minute you're a parent,
What is the reinforcement? I want you
to understand.
My question, I have a question.
Teacher, come. We have a teacher here.
We
have a teacher here. Yes.
Na huko na microphone. Yeah, swali yangu ilikuwa, you are saying Gen Zs, you're blaming parents, you're blaming school for their lack of enthusiasm, maybe to work harder. But Gen Z is a global issue. Okay? So how do you how can you equate a Kenyan and a person in the United States having the same character, yet you're blaming systems that work differently in different places, yet the same outcome, we have the same outcome from all over the world. We have the same character of Gen Z. Yes.
There are cultures where this Gen Z mindset is received positively. In fact, they call them innovators. They call them the room shakers. They call them the cast breakers. There are cultures where this energy that our Gen Zs are exhibiting, in those cultures, it works. However, you can take that same energy, put it in Kenya. Now you are being told you're wayward and what. That's what I was saying. We are adapting things, yet we don't necessarily have the ecosystems to support them. And that's why I started by asking you, so since we've decided Gen Z are bad because of nurture or ama it's their nature? Were they just bad eggs from the womb? Can you just say, any woman who births a child between this year and this year, it was a bad egg? Ni venye unaweza nunua mayai kwa crate kuna ile mayai mbaya. What are we saying?
Let's introduce her. She has been as a teacher before and after Gen Z. Before, during corporal punishment and before the move, after the corporal punishment, she can tell us where the problem is as a teacher associating with the rest of Gen Zs. Karibu. Shaban, introduce her to the topic.
Okay,
So we are discussing, in general, Gen Zs, why we have this generation who have been labeled to be problematic. So one of the things he was putting forward was teachers. He blames the teachers. And I was telling him, that's unfair. You can't blame teachers because this starts at home with the parents. Yes, teachers have a role to play, but wazazi are the foundation. So there's only so much the teacher can do. But Masha is stuck that apana, ni shule, school systems are weak, they are not what they were. And I'm like, even if school systems are weak, parents still have a role to play. Unaelewa? That you cannot now leave this, because teachers are buckling under the pressure of, kuna mzazi ambaye hataki mtoto wake akosolewe. In fact, teachers right now fear students, because students can get teachers into trouble. And the richer the school, the richer the parents, the worse it is for teachers. So he was like, let's call a teacher and get a teacher's perspective to hear what they think.
Don't convince her. She already biased her. She biased her with her opinion.
Yeah, bring the topic. I believe.
You justified your opinion to her. You justified.
What's the debate?
No, you've introduced her.
Yes.
Who do you think is the problem?
Ask the question. You've introduced her to your agenda.
Let her ask the question now.
The issue was that we have these Gen Zs who just want to feel high, do nothing and have it all. Where do we think we have gone wrong? What is the issue? What is the problem? So that's how the issue was. Now, hers were her opinions. So you can give us yours, since you're there before the Gen Zs and now currently with the Gen Zs.
As a teacher.
Yeah, from the teacher's perspective, I support Tamina because from my perspective,
Are you seeing why teachers can't work? This is what you do to teachers. Even this is what happens to teachers. Ona sasa, look.
Do you know what I've said? Do you know what I've said before?
let me talk.
But I'm brief.
Let me talk. Do you know what I said?
Do you know what I said before? Okay. Ngojeni. Excuse me, you will pay fine right now. You will pay fine. Do you know what I just said, Dada? Do you know what I just said? I said very well. You are there before Gen Zs and after Gen Zs in school. What have you noticed in school as a teacher? What is the problem? Not as Tamima. Tamima speaking as a parent.
Maybe
I'm telling you to reason here. Ngoja. Yes. I want to tell us, because if I may also defend myself in terms of the removal, I've ever said the removal of corporal punishment in school, and there is a disease. You have ever told me here that you found a child misbehaving in school, and there's nothing you could do in front of your head teacher. Whose problem is with that?
Could be the head teacher is afraid of the parents.
And it is whose problem? The teacher's problem.
Again, you answer.
First, 80% of how the Gen Zs are behaving is from the parents. Yeah, you see, during our time, a parent could drag you to school so that you can be punished. But now it's not the case. Gusa mtoto moja saizi kama hutaenda polisi. So I believe 80% is from the parents themselves. Yeah.
Talk about fathers, the importance of fathers. What are you seeing? Where are the fathers? Where are the children?
Absent fathers. Absent fathers. Yeah, traditionally the father was seen as the disciplinarian. Yeah? But nowadays they're not there. If I bring one case of the school that I'm teaching, a bigger percent, like 60% of the pupils there are raised by single mothers. So where are the dads? Where are the dads? And this is a mother maybe who is working, she's a businesswoman and anauza samaki hapo. You know, so hata hiyo time ya yeye na mtoto wake hana.
I was raised by my mother.
But the father was there. The father was there.
I was still young.
The father was there.
Baba was young, my friend.
It's different.
There's something that you're missing.
It's
You are the
different.
exception, not the norm.
There's something that
Yeah, let me say it is different for Masha because Masha was raised in a boma. Yeah? So if the dad is not there, uncle is there. And then anyone could punish a child.
We left it there.
Even a neighbor. Even a neighbor.
Yeah.
When you do something wrong, a neighbor could punish you. But you can't do it now. You can't.
Mom, as a teacher,
Yes.
how many times, out of 10, how many times have you identified an issue with a child and reported it to their parents and they gave you a negative response?
10 out of 10.
Oh Lord.
Yes.
I mean,
That is what is on the ground.
That's why I know what they do.
In fact, you send a child to school, home, to bring a parent, the parent doesn't come. You call, the parent doesn't pick. So how do you help the child?
I want to raise a very valid question here. How long does a child spend in a week in school and at home?
It's only 8 hours in school.
8 hours in school.
Yes. Yeah, of the day.
Of the day.
Yes.
And at home? Okay. You see, yes, that's the question. Yes. Now the validity of that I'm asking you, because he's spending longer time active in school rather than at home. So there's a lot that can be seen and corrected in school rather than at home. You see?
The parent is not with it.
So
The parent is not with
okay.
For me,
Yeah.
I think majorly we can say this is a question of a society issue. Yeah, we can put blame on teachers, we can put blame on parents, as society. And what do you mean with society? Society, it means we have a common goal, all of us, regardless. Yeah, either you're a Muslim or a Christian, either you are rich or poor, right? If our society is known to take our kids to traditional practices, kuna ile jina tunapea hiyo community. Ile community wale wase wanakuanga strict in this whatever, right? You don't pick a home, you pick a community. When I mean community or society, same as her, I grew up in a family of a teacher. My auntie, whom I call her my mom, because I lived many years living with my auntie, she's a head teacher. There's a day I asked her, mbona siku hizi watoto wapigwi? The same way she answered is the same answer she gave me, and she's a head teacher. Aliniambia hata
information yenye hiyo alisema. Access to information inakuonyesha, so a kid in Australia at my age anafanya hivi. So why can't I do this? Because I'm living in the same time. Enye huo mtoto in Australia na live in the same timeline. So why is it not possible for me here? And that's why unaona wana try kulive hiyo maisha ya, if someone can do it in America, I can also do it here.
Yeah, but you know, our first issue was why is it that Gen Zs, they don't want to work harder compared to the millennials, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not about the other side wase wanapata results immediately na sisi hatupate results immediately. This is a thing yenye tunaweza sema hata with your information bado ni wewe personally ndo una go towards to look for that information. Unaona? Sasa if now you know when I take a small sip I'll get drunk, and you don't drink and you expect to get drunk, there's no effect to that until you do something, right? So hatuwezi sema information ya nje inatu affect sisi inside. Najua Masha anaweza pata ekodida come na mimi sitaki kupigia ekodida simu nimwambie akuje na ngoja miracle will happen. You see, that's the difference between Gen Z's sending themselves or working harder towards what they want instead of them just laying back. No, not even program.
Naweza sema hivi tunaishi kwa generation pia the parents to the Gen Z ni sisi ma millennials. Sisi kuna venye tulikosewa sana na society. Yo kupiga pigo yangu kuna mtu anakupiga without issue tu. Labda mtu nakumbuka shule mtu alishuta bahati mbaya. The whole class inatolewa nje, okay? Bala tu waseme, yani hakuna ile system ya kusema let's identify where the problem is. Kulikuwa na blanket condemnation sana. Munapigwa wote, munapelekwa wote. So this generation ili grow as people nataka haki. I know what these people are capable of doing to my child. I know this society. Ati mambo yako acha mtu apige mtu wangu, acha nione aguse mtu wangu. I know them. Your blanket condemnation so many times. The people who are, unaona watu wetu wa in the church mostly, because we were hurt na hizo kanisa. You get it? Your religion hatutaki pia. So many places we were offended. Yeah. Unapata jirani, I remember kuna time nilipigwa na jirani. Nilipigwa na ngori ya brother yangu anafanana na mimi. Yeye alifanya messages zake huko. Jirani alikuwa ananipiga akifikiri napiga brother yangu. Before I realize na mimi juu siwezi ongea kwa sababu hiyo inakaa wewe ni kichwa ngumu kujitetea. So kwa zile za umemeza unakuja kurealize later sio huyu ni yule mwingine ana describe anasema the only thing anasema ni pole. Lakini nami kula kichapo wewe. So hiyo pain ya acha niseme the mistakes, even teachers, the way teachers would handle us. Unapata teacher kuna issue na wewe. I remember the teachers walikuwa kuna issue na ni personal issue. It's see ati ni kitu ya shule. Ni issue tu kuna issue na wewe unakuwa. I remember used to be wale watu wanafikiria extra. So ukiniambia kitu kama for example ati this urine ina change color kwa sababu ya imekuwa this darker kwa sababu ya kitu na umekunywa maji lesa. Umeona? Umekunywa maji lesa. Alafu nauliza mwalimu. Na mbona mafi ina change colors? Mwalimu anaanza kuniuliza swali kama wewe uko very indisciplined. Enda pale. Simama, beba bag hivi kwa kichwa. You get it? So badala ni explain tu venye explain about the other. See both of the things are excreted. Hii ni urine, ingine ni feces. But they have different colors. Why is it that it's so easy for the teacher to explain to me about urine, but hii yenye hizi jibu, bala tu aseme yenyewe mimi sijui. Kwa nini unakula? Because I was asking, I remember ilikuwa biology, nikauliza mwalimu, mbona nakula kitu ya green na natoa mafia yellow mwalimu? Ni explainie. Bala mwalimu aseme na kuna mtu anakunia brown. Right? It happens. Kuna different colors of feces. And it's a class. Si unifundishe. But you know what the teacher did? Wewe unapenda kufikiria vitu zako sana kwa darasa. You see? Nimekuwa huko nje alafu nikabebeshwa bag. So mimi growing up niko zile za in fact I know what you guys are capable of as teachers. See that? So tukipatiwa chance ya kupitisha sheria watoto wasipigwe ni one time. You get it? Kwa sababu in the first place we know what you're capable and yet nyinyi ni human. The reality ni those teachers are human beings. So problem mtu alikosa na bibi yake home. So sai akona nerves zake ziko mahali fulani, ukimkosea atakupatia corporal punishment nyingine ifai kuwa inapeanwa. So you see all that is coming to play. And then there's now, sasa imagine those are the parents when you're zile I'll protect my kid against this society and against these teachers and against this government. And in the process we overstep as parents. Mpaka tunajipata instead of protecting we destroy the kids. Kwa sababu we remember like my kids wanna play football, right? Unaweza pata mtoto wangu venye nimemfundisha shule, venye ile homeschooling and all that, nimemfundisha wewe ukienda huko tafadhali kuna vitu zingine I know you're supposed to be doing. Let me see them. I know you're good at shooting the ball, right? Ukiingia kwa kiwanja please shoot the ball. Alafu mtu wangu anaingia kwa kiwanja anakosa kushoot the ball. Guess what? Anaanza kulia na ako na chance ya kushoot the ball as Gen Z's anafanya tu hiyo kitu. And then I come to him na namuuliza, bro, kwa nini unalia na umekosa kushoot ball? The coach can see. The coach is the teacher, right? There. The coach can see that amefanya mistake. Hajafungia team ball. Angeweza kufunga but amekosa tu kufanya. Mimi I can see it too as a parent. Guess what? Mimi as a good parent goes ahead and points the mistake out and calls out the kid for that and tells the kid wewe unafaa kuchujwa, unafaa kupanishiwa for not doing the right thing. Do you know what the other parents do? Hapana una mistreat mtu umekuja sana. The parents are protecting the mistake yenye mtu alifanya kwa sababu ya zile vitu walifanywa na other previous, unaona, in their lives wakigrow up what walipitia. Sasa inafanya wanakosea, wana protect even mistakes. Imagine situation kama hiyo, mtu wangu mpaka analia, mpaka anaona mimi ndio baba mbaya. Jua kumwambia wewe ulikuwa unafaa kufungia, hata coach ameona unafaa kufungia timu. In fact naambia coach do hivi, juu hataki anashinda kifanya hivyo, mtoe. Do you know what other parents do? Huyo ndio anatufungia ngama bao na mtoa, wewe ni paromba, wewe hapana. Hata tusiongee. See? They've already protected a mistake. What will this kid grow knowing that his father doesn't love him? Because his father amtaki, anataka mtoe. Yet the kid knows. I remember going home na mtu wangu analia ile serious venye maparo wengine wamemtetea. Alafu nikauliza mtu huyu, uko serious? Ile position tukwe tu honest, tukwe tu chini tuongee. Haungeweza funga kutoka hapo ati ningeweza. But mbona ukufunga? ati mimi ndio natoa hata make sense kufunga. Alafu namwambia, alafu unalia unanifanya mimi ndo nakaa mbaya. You see? Unalia ati nakaa mimi ndo nakuonea hujafunga bao. And then you make the other parents shout at me and say, wewe utakiwa atoi. So at the end of the day, this whole thing, I think the whole mistake ilianza na way we were treated badly with our parents and the society at that point, na the teachers, your personal issues zenye involve reality kujaribu correct society is what ina come out sahi, and we are protecting our kids. Very wrong.
Agree with me. Spare the child, spare the road. So the road was spared and the child got spoiled. From where? From where? School. School. No, school and home. Si school and home. Bro, wewe mwenyewe unasema shule bana kwako hata afadhali kuja nyumbani, shule kwa kubaya. So it is home where we will get consoled. Like, tulia, kesho tena hata kuchapa. But huko shule kwa kubaya. That is why that's why you are here. Uko hapa usikie mwalimu anapita. Hebu shika. Kimbia huko. Unakimbia. Halafu akuwa neighbor wako. Mwalimu akuwa neighbor wako. Usimsalimie.
Mwalimu usikie tu, yani ati
mwalimu was 90%.
Yes. Amepita. Already you are shivering. Sasa you see, all that came because of the discipline the teacher was instilling to the child. You see? And that's why my point was the child spends a lot of time in school than at home. So that discipline ikiwa instilled pale ninio pale, regardless kama nyumbani parent ni moja ama hakuna, ile discipline ikiwa pale shule ikipita pale, hata nyumbani ananyoka. Yeah.
Okay.
In school, right? Hao ndo wanaanza kugrade watu hii. Actually hata na intelligence. You understand? Nikimaliza, I think in my 30s, nilikuwa naangalia certificates zangu za primary, waliandika of average ability. Mimi najiangalia, I'm like, yo, mimi ni genius bana. Ase walisema mimi ni average ability bana. Ama we ni wa msewa we ni failure. Una understand? Unapata wale wasa walikuwa mapro number 1, number 2, whatever, wakiingia kwa society, they're totally different. Ama wanakuwa successful. Una understand? So shule ina shape future to more. Una get? But also to answer your question in terms of, are they naturally like that, or are they trained up to be like that with parents? Well, I'll agree with your point that parents are mostly the foundation, because that Bible inasema train up your children in the ways of the way, when they grow up they will not depart from it. But also I think we're giving birth to advanced children and we don't know and we're not aware of it, and it has shocked us. Cause nakumbuka mtoto wangu akiwa mdogo, ukimpatia katululu na touch screen, ini technology hata ajai, but akiona katululu na touch screen anachukua touch screen. Kwa nini? Hakuna mtu amemwambia touch screen ni simu poa. Yeah, yuko too advanced. Una understand? And even as a parent una find out that we failed at some point by not empowering ourselves. So tunaza watoi wako advanced knowledge wise, wanajua stuff zenye si hatujui, so zinatushock. So sasa hatujui kudeal nao because ile knowledge tulikuwa nayo ndio tuko nayo na tunataka kukua nayo. Una understand? Ya kudeal na every child the same way. Una get? So how do you compartmentalize and go like, this is a different child, this is a different child, this is a different child. This one is way more advanced. So how do I deal with this one? Do I get someone who knows maybe technology more than them to help me raise them? Una understand? Or in terms of moral standing, stuff like that. How do I empower myself to be able to deal with this child who's more advanced? That's why we're seated here, because hata wewe umetusurprise. Now umetusurprise kwa nini? We did not empower ourselves before time could deal now. That's why right now we're like, oh, society fanye. Una get?
Yeah. Okay. For me, I think I'll ask you a question. You as a teacher, if I tell you don't beat my child, will you beat my child? Okay. You as a teacher, if you tell me as a parent I should not beat my child, will I listen to you? Good. So that means me as a parent, I have a bigger role to play than you as a teacher. right? I have more power because I can go against your words, but you can't go against my words, right? So, for me, I can say, okay, like you guys, maybe mko na experiences zenyu. For me, I have an experience of corporal punishment, of which hizo ndo vitu zenye wazazi wanakata sana shule. And this corporal punishment, it doesn't mean like any other kind of punishment, they should not be practiced. You see, teachers can do other means or other ways of punishing a kid than using corporal punishment, because that's the only thing yenye wazazi wengi wanakataa. Naona, but kutuma mtoi enda fieka, hakuna mzazi atasema mtoi usifieke compound ama usiokote uchafu. You understand? It's only by caning. Now, me, I remember I've never been beaten by my father or by my mother, and I grew up with them all my life. But niko na scar yenye nilipigwa na teacher mpaka leo. I can easily tell someone, hey, nilipigwa hapa na niko na alama. You see? But that one, it didn't change me as a person. It only made me bitter. You see? Yes. So vile Eko anasema, like vile tuli grow up na hizo vitu zenye hatukuwa tunapenda. Tuko na ile machungu kwa hati yetu mpaka leo. And truth be told, hata mimi niko na machungu. Nikioga, nikiangalia alama nakumbuka teacher by name. Even face.
So utaki mtu acheze mtu wako?
Staki, naona. Mpe punishment ingine lakini kiboko niachie tu. Mimi ndo najua vile nitamhandle. You see? Now, sasa hiyo ndo inakuja kuonyesha sisi as a parent we have
Trauma.
Yes, trauma. Like sisi millennials tuko na trauma. Ndo imefanya majenzi wamechange.
Na hata tuwezi saidia watu wetu, hata pia si hatuja heal. Mimi nakwambia nikiona hiyo teacher naweza point mtu unasema unachukule mse ule ndo alinipiga. And that was like okay, more than 20 years ago. Bado niko nayo. Na utaongeleshaje mtoi kitu yenye wewe una guts ya kudeal nayo? You can't face yourself. How can you face this thing that looks like you? Cause ukiza mtoi akona jeans mbili zako, kwanza tukianza tu na jeans zako za buda na za mother. So kuna time mtoi akifanya ngori unajiona unasema manze, but huwezi mwambia, ama hata akifail huwezi mwambia pia mimi nilikuwa na fail shule. Pia unafaa kuwa genius.
Hey man. Aya ongea basi.
Mimi nataka kusubmit hivi. Discussion ya madam sijui kama tujaipata poa, but she was saying, which I want to agree with, that teachers have contributed but to a lesser extent. I also want to agree that it goes back to the parent. Why? I'll take an example of our side, Uganda. Uganda, most schools are handcuffed. Why? Because there are these prominent guys, MPs, general. Now, let the general bring their children to this school and you cane them and see what happens. Now, what happens is, teacher, much as anataka kuinstill a discipline kwako, if you did something wrong, like in class, they cannot punish you. And to me, I believe ukifanya kitu, like this is a class, na mtu amefanya something, you're supposed to tell them like in front of the others, so that anajua what I've done is wrong. But now you find a situation where those prominent guys amechukua mtoto kwa shule, but actually they tell the headmaster, nimeleta huyu mtoto na msijaribu kumshika. Like don't do anything, hata kama amefanya nini. So unapata huyu mtu, those low income earners, akichukua huyu mtoto kwa hiyo shule, if their children do a small mistake, they're expelled. Hapo na hapo, they don't ask anyone. But mtoi wa ule, that prominent guy, if they do something, much as amepiga mtu, amechoma mtu na kisu, something like that, it cannot happen. It cannot happen. Why? Because kuna simu itatoka juu huko, mbona mtoi wangu memfanya hivi? You get? And so it instills fear kwa the entire school, the entire staff. Una get? I wanted to respond to Masha. Kuna statement alifanya hapa before aende. and to my brother here. Back then, discipline was key. Like it took the entire community to groom one single child. I agree with that. Masha akasema, there are schools, and this happens, I know, in Uganda and in Kenya, where unapata ule mtoto ako humble, anataka kusoma, but ana fees. So unapata HM, because anajua mtoto is very disciplined na ako smart, anakuambia come, kuja ufanye mtihani, we shall solve that later. Okay? Why? Because you're very disciplined, you're very smart. Now, if you're the kind of person, wewe ndo unapigana na walimu, how do you expect huyo HM kukuambia hata kama fees hakuna kuja usome? It cannot happen. It only happens when we're trying to portray your image like you're humble, you're disciplined, you're respective. Sijui kama mnanipata. I want to respond that kama uyako. And it all goes to chenye ulikuwa unasema. It is true, our kids or children spend more time kwa shule when they are active. But it all goes back to the parent. Why? If I took my boy or my children and then I hand them over, so when mwalimu nikakwambia, please, mtoto nataka, yani I want the best of my children, make sure yani wanafata. Because for me, always I've been called at school different cases of the children I'm taking care of. But for me, I don't tolerate that nonsense, because I know any institution, any organization has rules and regulations. Hata kama ni shule, kuna ile kitabu wana sign, kama ndo umefika wana sign. And then I'm called at school that maybe my cousin or my nephew anafika shule saa 3 na gate inafungwa saa 2. Then nitetee huyo mtoto? I cannot, because I know that institution has rules and what? And regulations. So for me, I cannot support that child or that kid. Why? Because ameenda against rules and regulations za wapi? Za shule. Now, the problem in Uganda, I'm using Uganda because that's where I come from. The parents, some parents make their children feel entitled at school, because there are schools where mtoto anajua babangu ni MP, always mguza, they do anything they want. You find the school has rules, like maybe at 7, all children kwa prep. Mtoto MP yako, guzwi, you get. That's why it goes back to that, to the parent. Because I'm very sure if a parent gave authority to the teacher, akasema I want the best from this child, like discipline wise and why, huyo mwalimu, yes, atajua vile atahandle huyo mtoto, so that we get the best out of what? Out of that child. But now, I started by saying that the schools are handcuffed. Why? Because much as teachers want to instill, because I'm sure teachers are our second parents when we were at school. And I think they want the best from us. But now, they cannot get the best from us when they are limited. Yeah, some of we, the parents.
Good afternoon. Now, I hear you're all capitalizing on punishing Gen Zs, punishing children, grooming children by punishing them. Grooming. Or teacher's side. Okay.
Or any other factor.
All right. As a parent, my kid is a little young, but I have other kids that I'm a father figure to some children already that are a bit old. That doesn't make me very old though. Now, children or those Gen Zs that you think are being let down by schools or by parents, actually let down by simple factors, the way they think. Teachers don't have refresher courses. Do you have them in Kenya? A refresher course. Yeah, you're a teacher now, but now the society has changed. The way things are seen have changed. So this ordinary teacher that taught us cannot teach these young people. They need some refresher course to know how these people think. Muko nazo hapa. So in Uganda we don't have. We don't have. So you find the way you're treating a kid, the way we were treated during our time is not the same way these kids can be treated, because they are wiser than us. Trust me. We have the information generation now. Information moves so fast because of internet and whatnot. These kids know more. When you're trying to play with the kids' psychology, you can fail. You can fail to play. Someone as young as Sharon here, you try to play with her psychology. You know, I will not buy you a bicycle because you've not done this. They already know what you're trying to do. Yeah, they are very wise. They are very informed. Also, I deal with young people. There are drugs in the society. Kids are stressed. You find that whether it is a rich kid or a kid from a humble family, they have started drugs. Kwa nini? They are depressed, they are stressed. The parents have no time for them. They don't know what is happening in their lives. You, the millennials, youth who think you're hard guys and hard women, you don't try to understand the psychology of these kids, and it has led them into depression and drugs. Maybe also to add on what my brother has said, recently in Uganda, some kid of a big person killed another kid at school. You know that big school, you don't have to mention it. Just like 2 months back, it's trending in our news. But the school has failed to put it out directly into media that, you know, a kid killed another. They are trying to cover up. They go to this boy, put him in a rope and hang him up so that he hanged himself, which is not the fact, because other kids were there. And when the VD reached visitation day, they crossed, they said no VD. But some parents still managed to go to the school and talk to their kids, and it came out that the kid was actually killed by a fellow kid, yes. Killed, beaten, punched, and killed. Yes. But because this is a kid of a big person, it will never come out. The school would rather close. That's the extent. Yeah.
Professional. Anything done unprofessional. Whether in police station, whether in hospital, whether in market. Even in I was talking to service providers in the morning here. You came for the function, yes, you are here. Why are you here? Oh, we have not been given transport to go back to our workstation. Why? And I saw you drinking at night. I saw you drunk. They came to give service. They got drunk. They got mixed up. They forgotten their duties. I told them, you're supposed to pay me because you came here, service provider. I was supposed to invite you. How comes you ended up in my budget? It was supposed to that is so unprofessional. Same will happen in school. Same will happen but when it is done consistently in an institution, it kills. When it is done consistently in a department or in a ministry, it kills. Right from the head. So there's one head somewhere which went, because there's no place that a sort of Kenya is going to have the chairman of the parents who speaks about the parents or all parents in Kenya. Never. But we have the CS for education, Sindio, who speaks on behalf of the teachers, who takes of the teachers' needs, which is the supreme. That's like the Supreme Court. Sawa. Do you agree there? Are we together, Tamima? For the first time, thank you. For the first time, thank you. There was another issue of now part of these people, changing part of these people. Okay, they're Gen Zs. How will you approach them and change them? Like a fractured jackal. You want to help that jackal, but it's fractured. It's dangerous. How will you approach that one? Unless you're dressed in that uniform to resemble it, that's when you can reach it. Or else it will kill you. So we're in that section of how do we approach them and bring them to our close to us and change them? Who will listen to them? Who will they listen to? One. How? Because at this rate, some of them are regretting. Because they are there, they have tattoos, they have dreadlocks, but they feel like, ai, bana hii maisha bana si mzuri. I found one hapa kwangu mimi. Pale ba. The guy had a very big wound, but pure Gen Z. Ameachilia nywele, alitoroka kwao. He was in third year doing pure medical. Was a surgeon. Third year, 1 year to go. Akatikimbia kwao, amekuja huku, anapiga sherehe, fees pia hazitumui tena. The father got spinal injury. Is a contractor. So the guy is ending up in the streets waiting to die. Sherehe imeisha. Wale wenzake wamemwacha. I talked to the boy, the boy told me, my friend, hata ukiniambia sasa hivi naenda kunyoa nywele, nitapona kidonda, nirudi shule. The following day the guy came, amenyoa nywele, ako tayari, I'm ready to go to school. Huyo kijana sasa anamaliza. He's graduating any time because I took him back to school. Anamaliza. And he's perfect. Because villain approach, na alikuwa amefika mwisho. He changed. Sasa I wanted him to be yesterday, to be an example. But how guys kuja because he's doing it. Ako Kakamega. Hata wazazi walijua baadaye kama arudi shule, nani mpeleka shuleni? They wanted to come. The father was a pastor. Kaambia hapana, wacha malize mwanzo. And the community ambia sasa amechange. So the thing is, how do we reach them? How do we make them listen to us? Because now we already have them as a problem. Because focusing on 2-3 years, my friend, utatafuta fresh employees ukose kwa office. Utapata huyu mmoja na kuna demand ya kampuni kama 10. Where are the rest? In the streets. How do we break this gap that is there? How do you try to rescue?
You were not here. I said that, do we have refresher courses for teachers in Kenya? So that they are fit to teach these young people that are different. Let me hear it also from him, because there is a way. You don't know. You're not sure.
I don't know, because I am always in intern.
Even the books, they are totally different. So the teachers have to be trained on how to teach children using the different books.
Let me understand this. Let me understand this, the point. Whenever there's incoming tragedy, especially in the security, we take our soldiers to cope with the new way. Like nowadays, terrorists come on YouTube. So this is how you can attack them. Do you have ways right now of advanced ways of now teaching these boys new ways not to become like the other ways? Other ones. Do we have? Tamima, how do we tackle this incoming generation, which is most likely to go back to the other generation? How creative are we, or how prepared are we to advance our education to make sure we don't have the same problem? Are you getting me?
Education is not just formal schooling. In fact, some of the greatest education happens home. Because you'll find the minute that agreement is in place between you, the teacher, you, the child. Like me, my child knows he'd rather deal with the teacher in school than deal with me. Because he knows the teacher has full leeway to work on him. So by the time I come, he's aligned. You understand? You should find in the same school, there are parents who the teacher can do nothing. And that's what I was saying, that agreement is so important. But you see, when it comes to now the issue of Gen Z, there's a point she touched on. Huh? When we say Gen Z, we must also break them down. Because Gen Z, number one, they're a mirror. They're mirrors. They're holding up a mirror. They're showing us who we are as a society. Not who we think we are, not who we wish we were. They're literally showing us, this is who you people are. Because we are your byproducts. That is the number one thing they are doing. And the minute a mirror is held up, you can either choose to duck your head in the sand, or you can choose to look at your image and be like, oh my God, enyewe pale, I need to improve my image 1, 2, 3, 4 ways. There's something she mentioned. Let me start with the boys, Gen Z boys. Huh? Because Gen Z boys are lost. Most of them, when you interrogate and when you sit down with them, that point you made about programming, yeah? Why that programming is taking over is because there is no programming in most households. And the reason why there is no programming in most households, because a lot of them, the men are absent. And when the men are absent, they are looking for identity. So what do? They go seek alternative programming. And they find it in music, they find it in TV shows, they find it in entertainment that is shipped from other places. So this person believes, knowing how Masha puts it, that hallucination, they think the hallucination is reality. It's not. It's a bubble. And it'll burst. Because even if you dress like the swankiest person, take your video, put it on TikTok, yet you're doing it in a ghetto, you're still in a ghetto. It has not changed anything. Yeah? So the question now becomes, this generation, and it's so sad if you look at how things work, because our instinct is always we don't like change, we don't like being challenged. So our instinct is to judge them and to label them. When really, this is when we should actually be stepping up. In fact, everyone here should be saying, me, I have 5 Gen Zs I'm discipling. I'm working with them. Like, I will talk to them until I hit gold. Because what they've shown us is they have potential, but when this energy is misused, it's channeled negatively. You can imagine if this same energy they have is channeled positively, or what a future they can create. But now that needs people who understand what real life is to sit down. Like men, when you're sitting down with Gen Z boys, tell them life is not about drinking and sleeping around with girls. Life is not about, yo. Like, you're a man. In fact, challenge them. Some of these girls you guys are hanging out with, she'll meet a rich man there who'll marry her. You'll be seeing her jet setting. So, very, very real reactions about what it really means. What is life? Alafu unajua disconnect pia inatokelezea. Most of them come from places where your parent is limited. They are limited mindset-wise, they are limited exposure-wise. You come from that same place your parent comes from, but you've been exposed to everything. Thanks to media, thanks to school, thanks to technology. So mzazi wako pia, there are things, they are handicapped. Anakupenda, lakini, I'll give an example. I do a lot of coaching, right? And the one thing I tell people, when we coach, there are things I'll ask you, say it in your mother tongue. Or say it in Kiswahili. And then we start recognizing the vocabulary does not exist. Like another one we throw out, love languages. Tell me love languages in your mother tongue. Somebody, please. Tell me, does it exist? Is there a vocabulary for it? It does not exist. And that's just one example. So it's now, when you start interrogating culture, when you start interrogating, how do I as a human being live my best life? You'll recognize we come from trauma. And our children are only mirroring back our trauma to us. So there's nothing unique about this generation. And that's why I started by saying every generation will say the ones who came before us, they were mad. So for us, the level of madness is probably higher. But it doesn't mean they're irredeemable.
Were icons. That means their life went on well. It happens also your father was one of them. That, mtoto fulani Tamima. Babake basi huyo alikuwa Minister of Education. Hapo alikuwa hapa Ingiliki. How is that one flown down? Will you be a bad parent? Huh? What are you bringing out? Are you carrying the same legacy? Who is helping in breaking down here? Who? There's someone helping you in breaking down. Sindio? You are flowing like water from your grandfather. My grandfather was well known as one of the DO. My father was an MCA. I personally. And I am also somebody else. And I want to make sure there's something else good flowing down in my blood. But who is helping in breaking down? There's someone helping me in breaking down that communication. Huko mbele. Mpaka waseme, huyo, babu yake alikuwa mwalimu lakini yeye ameisha. So, before we reach down to this person breaking down the communication and the flow of legacy, we are now in the recovery. We want to recover. How do we recover these people? We either give you money or give us a project to make sure you have convinced us that you can recover this track from the flow, the river, because it's already drowning. How can we recover it? Bible. Bible. You can use.
Umeelewa? He came from a rich and noble legacy. But kijana, when he came of age, he felt, I know best. I know better than my father. In fact, see me nafaa kukurithi. Give me what is mine. You understand? Because I know best. I have it more figured out than anyone. And the father said, what? I love you, my son. Take what is yours. I wish you well. See, the boy went. And life did what life always did. The world showed the boy. And the boy came back. But the bigger lesson, I think a lot of times when we focus on the prodigal son, we focus on the son. We never focus on the father and the household. Please note when he came, we are not told that because the father split the wealth, they were poorer by 50%. Kumbuka ule mse alimpatia inheritance, ndio? But when the boy came back, he found his father's house to be as glorious as ever before. So even for us with our Gen Z, they're just prodigal children. But it doesn't mean because the children are now prodigals, the house must also cave in. The house must stand strong. They were told, build your house on a rock. So when the day the prodigal son comes, because he will come back, because life will always do what life does. And even what you were saying earlier, these children, because they were brought up in religious households, they don't know God. So another thing about life is spiritual. If you look at our society, that's why I told you, I don't know who here has had the privilege of maybe just traveling out of Kenya, going to the first world, like going to Europe, America, anywhere. Anyone, a show of hands. Yeah? And what I'll tell you, life is spiritual. And when I say life is spiritual, I mean it from the context of this energy that our youth have, it's not necessarily wrong, it's just misplaced. There are cultures where this energy is encouraged. So the problem we have is what he called, and I love how he put it, it's a programming. They're reading from a script, but the script they're reading from is for the wrong play. Our play is different. Hii play Abutere Girls inaitwaje? Our play is Echoes of War. These guys are reading from Shakespeare. Yet they are showing up to perform Echoes of War. So that's where the disconnect is coming from.
Do you think they can be recovered or to watch Warudi?
I think they must be recovered because we have no choice.
We are there.
Yeah.
Because the prodigal son came back.
He came back, yes.
These ones can't come back.
Says who? Says who? You know, I saw a video actually, Jana. You know, when we came here and there was a lot of security, and I was telling guys, I was like, I don't think this security is for us, because I'm like, I think I saw a video on social media, the Panga boys. And I was like, this video must be for the Panga boys. And for me, it really broke my heart, because when I looked at those boys, I was like, vijana, I don't think there's any who's over 23 years old. Wako kwa boda boda, wameshikilia panga, and they want to hack each other. They want to hack anyone who's passing. And I was like, how lost can a people be that is the product of our womb? Kulikuwa na mama pale, hata haezi zungumza. And I was like, this is a curse. Yeah? I was like, this is what people now start calling things like principalities, spiritual hosts of evil. So, and if you look at how the world works, there is a place for everything. Yes, and that's what I'm saying, the house must be in order. It means those of us who have been called in the realm of prayer, they must pray upon them. Those of us who've been called in the realm of teachers, we must now stand up and teach and mentor and hold their hands. Because we cannot say here, Masha, those words are not coming out of my mouth, eh? I'm like, it's just how.
Hard work makes tough men. Tough men make easier times. Easier times makes softer men. Softer men make harder times. And that's what the society has done. Our parents walitoka from the Mau Mau. They didn't have anything. They worked so hard. They built the society that was then. That society gave birth to us. Us, we made the economy better. Hard and soft. And we were discussing something about juicy. Like access to things like microwaves and ice creams and pizza was unheard of during our time. But the information was not there. Someone in Butere alikuwa anashona mpira. Ilikuwa inatoka je mpira? Mpira juala. But it was the same across board. So tusiseme Gen Zs wataishi vile wataishi. That society will live the way they live. And they learn. Because me, I'm mentoring some Gen Zs. And you can find that they're not irredeemable. They are. But they need to be mentored. There's a Gen Z who maybe akikosa kukuja kazi on time, you don't allow them to work. Iende imuume. next time I learn, this is how we do it. So they're not irredeemable, but they have to learn by themselves. Si kitu yenye there's nothing we can do. Because even our parents, most of them unaweza kuta hawakuwa na walikuwa najua education ni nzuri, but because they didn't have education, kwao si important, but wanaona okay, mkisoma mtakuwa better. Yeah? So for Gen Z it's the same. We can't understand them. They're in their own world because they're experiencing things that we can't understand. AI we don't understand. Smartphone ilikuja in the early 2000s, ama late 1990, right? We grew early 2000. Sisi tuli grow up with that booth, unaweka shilingi hivi ndani. Yeah? You are saying children are advanced. It's not children that are advanced. Ni anakuona kutumia simu. Then learn by anaona oh, hii kitu ina scrolliwa. Oh, mama ana scroll. Okay. When I grow up, that's what they want. Ukimpeka bambe ata prefer because anaona hata wewe unatumia hiyo. Yeah. So they advanced by
guys. I personally think we can recover them much as we cannot recover 100% of them, but we can recover them. But recovering them, number one, there should be manpower. There should unataka kuwa host, maybe you want to talk to them, you need to provide lunch and maybe some drinks and maybe some what. Because what happens, we have been in those groups sometime, do those things and what. But when you go to sleep, you go alone. And sometimes you reflect on what transpired during the day. Much as kuna wale vichwa ngumu wenye they don't want to know and all that. But if it is a group of 10 people and today we went somewhere and beat up people and took their phones, when we go back to sleep, everyone goes their way. We atalala huku, yatalala huku. You can agree with me that whenever you're going to sleep, you take some time and reflect on the things that have been happening or that happened that particular day, if I'm right. So to me, I believe after they have done what they have done during day, when they go back to sleep, there are a couple of them that reflect on what they did during day, and I think some find the guilt in our head. So huyo mtu mwenye amehitiwa na guilt, if someone came across to talk to them and show them that the path you're using is not right, you can use this path, I think we can bring back them. We can bring them back. But I'm insisting on resources because the same thing that most of the things that are happening in Uganda, I mean in Kenya, they're in Uganda. Vile nimewambia mimi nimekuzwa hapo kwa border. Most of my friends, the people I grew up with, they're in that kind of life. When in the club, maybe people are entering the club, they grab you, take your phone. But I used to study with them. But now, if you come up with a program, say the government intervenes, then they bring maybe kutengeneza viti, how is that called? How when you tengeneza viti, furniture and what? They put up that program, and then they teach them like freely. I'm very sure you can get a number of them that can come, because at the end of the day, as you grow, you realize umepata wife, umepata mtoi. Huyo mtoi inafaa aende shule. Much as unafanya hizo vitu, but at the end of the day ukienda kulala, utareflect. I don't think kuna mtu kama uliua mtu kupata pesa, unataka mtoto wako awe mtu apate pesa. You might have done that because of maybe the influence, the group and what, but you want your child to be a better person. Our parents need to go to school, but they spent so much for us to go to school because wanaona hiyo pain kama wamekuwa, So for me, it is resources. Resources kama ziko, we can start with the government. We can start with the government. Kuset hizo vitu like kufundisha watu kufanya hiyo kazi ya mkono. We can start with the government and then we come to the church. Church like wao wakitembea, maybe they call for meetings, they preach the word of God, because for me, my mother was she passed on, my mother was a very strong Christian. So alitukuza kwa hiyo njia ya Biblia. So it reached a point where nilikuwa na deviate kidogo from that njia, but whenever I could see it, I'm like, no, my mother didn't, you know, she wanted me to go this way. So I came back. So instilling God-fearing manner, kama they are Muslims, those sheikhs and what, they talk to them. If they are Christians, kuna those seminars and what. So the government can play a very big role. The church can play a big role. And then also the community. But it's so unfortunate that community kila mtu saa hii anajitafutia. They don't, give so much attention to. But if the entire society came together to help those boys, I'm sure, much as we cannot recover 100%, there's a percentage that we can get back.
I happen to employ a few Gen Zs. Okay, we hire casual workers for some time. Now, it became so, because they are paid less, those casual workers, it is very hard to get someone who has 5 kids to come and do this job and earn that little. Now we are forced to hire some younger people with less responsibilities. Now, these people, making them love what they do, the Gen Zs, it's very hard. But the more I keep talking to them, I don't, when they fail to do what they are supposed to do, we don't punish them. Instead, we talk to them, we show them the better side, what they would get when they do what they're supposed to do. Not what they're not going to get, or not the punishment. We keep pointing them to the direction of, when you do this, and you get this command at the end of the day, you might also get an iPhone. I want this new iPhone. If you're consistent for this period, you'll get this. Pushing them to that direction of convincing them, showing them what they can actually achieve, and showing them their abilities has helped us recover them. I'm also told that in Silicon Valley, they hire lazy people. They like hiring lazy people. Why? They are very innovative. Eh? If I'm lazy and they tell me to organize all these chairs, my mind will be like, isn't there some kind of machine that can organize them? I press a button somewhere and the chairs get organized. You understand? Somehow, in a few days, I'll come up with an idea. We can pass ropes like this, and then we pull them. We shall not lift each. You understand? So, I believe these kids have better minds. They are very innovative. That comes with a bit of the laziness that we have now. And convincing them and showing them their abilities will surely bring them back on track. That's what I can say.
I don't know if this is any solution, but even us as parents, when we're speaking to our children, I think it's one reason why they're rebelling. I remember my daughter came back home, akaniuliza, this is what she said about the business teacher. Ati, why did she study business just to become, it doesn't make sense to her. Like, huwa anafaa kuwa na make mado. Exactly. So you get. Shajua, anajua hata kifundisho kwa class, anashindwa, teacher, you understand? So even us as parents, there are things that we want to achieve, ama we've always wanted to achieve, that physically, kama watoi wajaziona tukizifanya, hawawezi fanya hata nini ifanyike. Because now we haven't even set examples of, you get. Na society is not like ukisema, next year ndakuwa mbigi as a musician. Kuna vitu kwa ground, hizo practicals, when it comes to practicals, it takes time, So even us as parents, we should just strive to, at least, even if we don't live our dreams to the fullest ama to the max, at least show that example that we tried, you know, other than kuiacha alafu naambia we lazima ufulfill yako. They won't, wataona tu cha nitafute shortcuts basi mini advance.
It's a wrap, thanks. It's a wrap.